Good morning, good morning. Thank you everybody for being here. This is a wonderful crowd. On behalf of myself and our Honorable Mayor 𝗩𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗶, former Mayor 𝗩𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀, we are very happy that everybody's here. A couple of notice. Number one, everybody's welcome to the Tuesday Morning Breakfast Club. We have been receiving some criticism that some people are not coming. Anybody that calls us and asks to come, we do our best to accommodate. So everybody is welcome, and we want to have everybody. What do? We don't take sides. What we do is that we just put the options for you, the public, to learn more about any candidate, any official, and everybody is welcome. That said, I would like to thank the venue, Lincoln Eatery. Lincoln Eatery always have us here. They don't charge us anything, only the breakfast. So thank you all very much to the Lincoln Eatery. I would like to recognize a few people in here. Blake is always here from the mayor's office. We love to have you. And today we have Daniel. Yay! Hello, Daniel. And we have Louis from Commissioner Magazine's office. So we thank you all for being here. That said, Vicki, take over.
Thank you, Valerie. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone. This is my second time at the Breakfast Club. It's always great to be with all of you, and thank you all for joining us. So I think Valerie said that the best way to start is just to say a little bit about myself. I think a lot of you already know me. I was a former state representative for 3.5 years, and then I got appointed to the County Commission in November. And since then, I've hit the ground running on Miami Beach every single day, sometimes twice a day. But very excited to tell you a lot about the things that we have been working on and the things that we hope we can continue to work on. So I want to start with probably one of the most important issues that we are facing on the beach is the sargassum issue that we have. It has been just unbelievably bad this season. And, I've been working with the Mid-Beach Neighborhood Association, who obviously has taken a very leadership role in this issue. We have, just so that you know, some people don't know that you have to get a permit from the state in order to rake. So there's two ways of handling sargassum. You can either rake it or you can mince it, and you mince it into the sand. There are 4 hot spots in our beach that have been identified by the Department of Environmental Protection. Those 4 hotspots actually have permits, and the county is the one that is in charge of paying for and ensuring that it is raked. The problem with it is that there is so much of it this season. So you might look, one of the hotspots is on the beach access entrance at 21st and 22nd, that area there. If you've gone to the beach there, you notice there's a huge pile of sargassum every single day because they have to rake it, then they bring it onto the sand, like that area right there, because trucks are going to come get it. The trucks come and get it, and then they place it on a runway. One of the old runways that's not being used at 𝗩𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 Airport, where it is spread out, it's dried, and then it goes to the landfill. You wonder why we have to go through all of that. Well, apparently when sargassum is in the water, it is absolutely a wonderful habitat for much of our small fish, like a horsefish, some of the microorganisms. The minute it hits the beach, if you look at the cells of sargassum, it is full of heavy metals. And no one knows how that operates from the water into the beach. So we can't just let it get into the landfill when it's wet, because it would seep all of those heavy metals into the ground and into our water supply. So it has to be dried so that the heavy metals get out of the sargassum. So it's quite a process, and it's also incredibly expensive. But because we're having such a difficult season with it, I met with our county of, this falls under Parks and Recreation, because the beach is considered a park. So we met with them, and I said, what would it take to up our game, to identify more hot spots, as well as rake more and mince more? So they have developed a plan, and they're presented during the budget season that will show that they can buy more equipment to mince, much more, because remember, only where the hotspots are can we rate by federal and state law. So they're gonna give us a budget for how much how much more machinery we would need to be able to mince it into the sand. So that's one thing that I'm working with Mid-Beach on, because it is affecting them worse than it's affecting the south side of the beach. So that's one thing that I think is impacting the economy. It's impacting our residents, but it's also impacting. Remember that we also are in a period of time where our sea turtles are nesting, and they cannot get to the water through the sargassum. That's why it's so important that we treat this. Hey, good morning. That we treat this very delicately, because in the morning there are cameras out there that the Parks and Recs have, and we have to wait until the sea turtles have stopped moving before we can start raking. So it's a complex situation, but we're all on top of it. So hopefully we'll have more money appropriated to take care of this season's sargassum. So that's one. The second one obviously was my ability to close Ocean Drive for the World Cup, which turned out to be an incredible success. We got 40 people in a room from Florida Department of Transportation to the county's Department of Transportation and Public Works, as well as the Ocean Drive Association, which you all know was very much in favor of closing the road. And we were able to actually get the county to agree to do it consecutively, so that the vendors would not have to open for a couple of days and drag their stuff back into their location and then put it back out, because that was the original plan that the county had until I interceded. And so then they agreed to do it for the duration of the World Cup, and it was a huge success. And the businesses really did really wonderful during that period of time. And so the next plan for Ocean Drive is, currently, you know, we have a one-way southbound. It used to be two ways, and then the city decided to do one-way southbound, but they went afoul because they did not get the county's approval. So if you know anything about the county's jurisdiction within a municipality, here in Miami Beach and in the city of Miami, which is the two municipalities that cover District 5, the county has jurisdiction over water and over transportation. So the city could not close Ocean Drive or change its configuration without the county's approval, which they went and did. They were sued, you might remember, and the courts ruled that they had to return it back to its original configuration. The city decided not to do that, but to work with the county to get the approvals. So on that same meeting that I had with 40 people in the room, we all identified what needed to be done, and it was really just a traffic study that the city had to give the county, and then the county would give it to the Florida Department of Transportation. You have to ask yourself why we're all involved. Ocean Drive is a city road, but as I said to you, any stop sign that is required, that's when the county gets involved. Collins is a state road, and that's why the state gets involved, because any kind of movement of traffic over to a state road, they have to also review. That's why we're all in the room together. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we will see the county approving it so that it can stay in the southbound, one-way southbound configuration. There's a much larger plan for Ocean Drive, which is the complete pedestrianization of it, which there's apparently been plans. The city has been very supportive of it. That is going to require my interceding as well on behalf of the city. So I'm now working with FDOT and my own county Department of Transportation to determine what needs to be done and what approvals need to be given in order to do that. But that would really put Miami Beach on the map. It would be able to allow us to be able to walk from the beach all the way, allow for not only pedestrians, but for bicycles, because we want to be more of a walking city. And we believe that that is probably the very best plan for Ocean Drive. I will tell you, when we closed Ocean Drive, during World Cup, I don't know if you all noticed, there wasn't that much traffic on Collins. Because I was coming every single day to see whether or not closing Ocean Drive actually impaired the state road. It turned out there was less traffic. And why, you ask? You know why? Because people have been coming to Ocean Drive just to drive around. They're not stopping. They're not buying anything. They're not coming to have dinner. They're just driving. And they're driving with their loud music. They're driving with their loud mufflers. And so it was a very good test for FDOT to see that after 45 days, Collins did not have that much more traffic. It had less traffic. So we'll be looking for the traffic study to prove the point that, in fact, people are not coming to Miami Beach to help the economy. They're coming just to drive around and to make themselves seen and heard. So that's one thing. Then we have another really interesting issue that came up at the CRA meeting this past 2 weeks ago. I'm a member of the CRA here in Miami Beach, in South Beach. We have a building. So I don't know if all of you remember, but there are 12 buildings that have been turned over to the county. These are senior buildings, lower income buildings that were turned over to the county because the city and the Miami Beach CDC could not maintain them. So the county has now taken jurisdiction of buildings that are here. And one of the last ones is on Meridian. And it's owned by a group called Meridian LLC. And the item on the agenda was to just move the building once and for all, the mortgages that the city has and the county has on the building. Very interesting. Commissioner 𝗪𝗂𝗖ʰ𝗇𝗂𝗍 said, I live across the street from that building and there was a shooting there a couple weeks ago. I thought that was so odd. Because I said, I have never heard of a shooting in a building where elderly people live. And I thought, who's committing the shooting? So she went on to tell the story that there are other people living in that building. And we had our county staff there, we had the CDC staff there, we had everybody there. It turns out, this was really interesting because I have the same problem on the mainland in one building that has elderly people living in it, that they are complaining about safety and security. It turns out that there is an agreement with the homeless trust to put formerly unsheltered people, formerly homeless people in that building. Now, we're all about helping the homeless. We're all about making sure that they get proper shelter and they can be placed in permanent housing. Here's the problem. They're not giving them any wraparound services. So no mental health services, no job training, no specific help with health care, which many of them have. So they've now placed, and this is a building that has 34 units. 20 of them are now for formerly unsheltered persons, right? So they make up the majority in this building, and yet they've taken up 20 of our studios, and then the other 14 are elderly people that always lived in that building. So now we have this issue that came up, and one of the things that I said is we have to find the money to place these persons in shelter, but with all the wraparound services. They deserve that, and so do not the elderly people that are living with them. Because that was the shooting. It was a formerly homeless person who got into a tussle with another person, and that resulted in a shooting. And so that makes me realize none of us knew this. None of us, none of the six commissioners and the mayor and myself were unaware that the situation was going on in Miami Beach. So we are now working towards a solution. We cannot allow the homeless trust to refer clients without referring them to all of the other services. So we're working on that together. Commissioner 𝗪𝗂𝗖ʰ𝗇𝗂𝗍 is going to do a sunshine meeting so we can talk about how did we get here and what do we need to do moving forward. So she'll be working closely with me on that issue as well. But that's an important one because obviously we want to help the homeless, but we also need to make sure that people that are living in the buildings in which we are placing them in also feel safe. So that's one thing. I've also been visiting, there's about 25 buildings where seniors live, and you all know many of them, Council Towers North, Council Towers South, Rebecca Towers, 𝗩𝗶𝗰𝗸𝗶. We've been visiting all of them. What I have discovered is that many of our seniors don't have food. It's a food insecurity issue. I'm bringing now individual meals to try to help. I'm also doing food distributions. But I was really shocked to see the condition because many of the food programs, like at Council Towers North and South, they used to have like a dining area. They have a dining area. They used to have a food service that would at least give them one meal a day. Now, that has gone away. That program was not, I guess, refunded by the federal government, who does many of our senior meals. So we have to figure out ways in which to help our elderly who need food. And so every week, I'm going into a senior building, and you know, it breaks my heart a little bit, because I give them a meal. Some of them will eat half of it while they're with me, and then save the other half for dinner. Many of them take the whole meal, and I guess they're going to make 2 meals out of it for 2 days. I'm also giving them toiletries. Simple things like toiletries, shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste. If you've been to Walgreens and you try to buy the very thing that I'm buying for them, you'll walk away with $25, sometimes $30. That makes a difference when you're a retiree and you're living on a fixed income. So we're also trying to get community partners to help us with that, because truly seniors deserve at least some dignity, and they should not have to live without shelter, food, and the essential things like toiletries. So we're taking that on as a personal thing, because I feel like if you've worked all your life, you deserve to at least be able to afford that. So we're making our seniors a very large piece of our work, both here and on the mainland. And as for the city, I wanted to, on 𝗖𝗂 West, just for those of you that know, so what I love about Miami Beach is the neighborhoods and the neighborhood associations, right? So South of Fifth has their own issues, 𝗖𝗂 West has their issues, Miami Beach United has their issues. One of the ones that came to me when I met my good friends in the back there at a Miami Beach United was the issue of, you guys see them, they're these boats, they're like floating advertising boats. You see them, right? They're a nuisance. That's what they are. They're on Biscayne Bay on the mainland, and they're here. And so we are working hard to try to figure out how to get rid of them. To be plain and simple, we don't need neon lights on our shore advertising. And we are looking at ways in which maybe we are not going to be able to obviously get rid of them, but if we push them far enough out, they may rid themselves. That's the key, is to try to figure out ways to impede their ability to be on our shoreline. And I think that that's really, really important. So yes, thank you, Rob. Yes, thank you both for giving me actually good language from other states. See, because that's the way we do it. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. I have some really good partners, and that I would say about Miami Beach. Everyone in Miami Beach is so well engaged, and I'm so grateful for that, because they did the research. They actually went out and saw the states to see how other states handle this situation. And quite frankly, we came up with what I think is going to be some good language. We also have a piece of legislation that I actually sponsored in the House when I was there, which was the anchoring limitations. 𝗖𝗂 West would tell you that they were sick of seeing all these boats, either derelict boats or boats, where people just anchored and decided to live there. Some of them were turning their boats into Airbnb, where people could be trafficked to that boat, on a boat, and they could stay there. The noise, thankfully to my colleague, Commissioner Steinberg, we worked on a piece of legislation about noise, because people deserve also to be, have some peace. And those boats were a public nuisance. In particular, they were starting to anchor in the islands, on Hibiscus, Star, and Palm Island. They were anchoring right, just talking distance from someone's backyard, playing really loud music, and you could see the suds from their dishwashing and water washing all over the bay. So we managed to get rid of them. And so I have a piece of legislation now that got out of committee that would do the same for the county. The reason that we had to do it in the state, as you all know, Miami Beach, my legislation allowed for local governments to actually be able to regulate this. They never were able to do so before in the state. Miami Beach was a leader. And kudos to the commission, and specifically to Commissioner 𝗍𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗏, who actually led that charge, because everyone's now following Miami Beach. And we've set the Miami Beach legislation to many people, including Palm Beach, who wanted to see how Miami Beach handled that. So look to see more of that, where we won't have a patchwork. Maybe the county can just have one standard way of dealing with those who just want to live on the water without following the rules. Because that's what it is. At night, they're dumping their sewage into the State Bay. Yes, they are. And it's an environmental hazard, but it's also a hazard for many of the people that want to recreationally boat, use their boat for recreational purposes. It wasn't safe on the waterways because they were just anchoring. And remember, if you want to live aboard, you should live either on a mooring field or in a marina. You should not just be able to dump your stuff on the water because you decided that was how you wanted to live. There has to be some guardrails. So that was a big issue for 𝗖𝗂 West, and we've been able to resolve that, thankfully, with the cooperation of the commission. But note this: I'm here every day listening to you, listening to the issues. That's just some of the things that I'm working on every day for all of you. But what I think is most important is the relationship that I have with the city commissioners and the mayor. Nothing gets done by ourselves. It happens because we cooperate, we collaborate, and I'm very grateful to have the support of all of them, particularly in this election. We've already started to work very closely together. We have lots of plans to do many things. One of the things that Alex Fernandez and I are working on now is some revisions to the Live Local Act that we think fit Miami Beach. And I'm really grateful that he's working on that with me, because we have a plan to obviously safeguard the historic district. We don't want anybody coming and messing with our historic district. It's what makes Miami Beach so incredibly unique. And we, it's funny, the World Cup actually put Miami Beach on the map. There are people that are traveling now in Europe that call me and say they are meeting with people that actually came to Miami Beach, and they have said so many nice things about the beach, about the people that live here, about the businesses that they encounter. So we did a really good job of showing people who we are as a community. We just have to make sure that we make sure that we keep that community. There's other things that we are working on as well. A lot of times some very good work, like, and it's really interesting, I funded a program for young girls at the Botanical Garden, thanks to Margie Weber. She's like Margie is like the de facto mayor of Miami Beach. I don't know how that woman has so much energy, but she's always keeping me abreast of things that sometimes people don't know about. And this was one art program, because it was for girls and there was no funding. The Botanical Garden decided not to fund it this year. So she came to me and I said, I'd be happy to fund that, because it's something that the girls can do in the summer, and it also propels girls to see their own artistic ability. It was a great program. And so it's small things like that, like when you come to me and you say, look, there's a need here, and I'm happy to review that need. I know Beverly has been a strong supporter of education. She has been really leading the charge to get the left turn lane into Miami Beach Senior High. If it weren't for someone like Beverly, we wouldn't know about it, right? And now we're working with her, we're giving her updates. Thankfully, it's in Commissioner Steinberg's district, but Mickey and I work so closely together because we share the beach. And one of the things that she and I always complain about is that they separated it so you don't have one commissioner, you have two, as if Miami Beach is not one community. But nonetheless, she and I have pledged to always work closely together. I don't do anything in my district without letting her know, and she does the same. And luckily for Beverly, Vicki called her yesterday to give her an update on that. But it's simple things like that where we have to, unfortunately, to get that left turn lane into Miami Beach Senior High, requires the school board, the city of Miami Beach, and the county. And the school board has decided not to fund it. They don't think it's important enough, despite the fact that at Nautilus, we had a child hit by a car, as you all remember, a terrible tragedy. And I said, why do we have to have that happen again for the school board to realize that this is something that all of us know? How do they not know this? They need to come out here and they need to sit there when school starts and see the kind of danger that we have. And so I have pledged, yesterday I spoke to the commissioner, I said, whatever you need, she may need some help getting some state funding, so I told her that we would work together on that. So it's simple things like that where we have to work together, but it's doable. And Beverly, thank you so much for your leadership on that and for everything school related. See, some of you have great expertise in your areas, and I'm just grateful that Beverly has been taking the lead on things like that. So I'll now open it up for questions. I mean, I'm just grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Give me a second, give me a second.
Yeah, just
Come here. Yes. Just 1 second. No. Just 1 second. We have our format.
oh, sorry.
Yep.
I'm the assistant.
I need you to be my camera lady here. So can you follow me with the camera?
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So now Carmen Natori is being my camera lady. Thank you. So okay. We have a question over here. There is a question over here. I am hopeful. Yes, that's the rule.
Okay. So I have a couple of questions. The mayor of Miami-Dade said that he borrowed a model of Singapore to attract wealth in Miami for more development and for more people coming in town. But he forgot to borrow the model of how to protect the existing ownership in the town. In Singapore, when you take away the land of the low building to redevelop, they pay the owners for the land value. Here we don't. I live in Miami Beach, in a coastal area, in an expensive area, and most of my neighbors are already being threatened for the redevelopment, like Low 50 was already taken over, 800 was taken over. And we are in the back, probably, but because of the arrangements, because of the laws, we're not protected. You know, most people, they spend their 401ks, their last savings, right, to start their homes, just to be surprised that eventually that is going to go another hour. You know, like, because for redevelopment, there are 3 or 4 different ways that they can take over. So there is no protection for owners. And also the thing in the Campus Towers is exposed something that also affects us. And all our assessments are huge now as a result of it. And I am against that. I am all for it to protect our homes. However, there is nowhere in the regulation that says that the associations or the boards have to have to reconcile the past loans. We have loans on my building that down from 2016 that were for schools that are still in draft all the way to 2025. And they added, but they never do it.
It's I know, I'm in the same spirit. So let her answer before you go.
Thank you so much for the question. Thank you so much for that question. So it sounds like the condo situation, the condo boards that you were talking about are not required to reconcile or to give you.
Under Florida statutes, they are not. I sent
Let
a certified question, and the attorney answered and said, under Florida law, we don't have to do it.
So this is an ongoing problem that we've been dealing with for over 4 years now, since Champaign Towers collapsed. We have condo boards gone mad. You know, there are some condo boards, and I have been working on this while I was a state legislator to make sure that there was more transparency with condo boards. It remains a problem even with the law. We have attorneys that are giving very bad information to their boards and to the residents. I'm going to take your name down. I want to know about your building because I want to involve myself. Yeah. So my May is here from my office. All of you know May. She grew up on the beach. She worked for the city. We will work together on that issue because so any kind of condo issues have to be dealt with the Department of Business and Professional Regulation.
That was 20 be able to explain anything from 2017 all the way to 2020.
No, it's never too big because I've been working on one issue that has 5 years in the making, and we can work together on this for the department. I can help absolutely. No, May is going to contact you. We're going to contact you, and I want to see if anyone in your building has ever done a complaint to the DPR at all, because a complaint is what opens up the investigation.
There were complaints for others.
Okay, great. No, I did. The DPR is, I know because I deal with them, it's very complicated. It makes it very hard to the point that sometimes we give up.
Yes, and you know what? That's why I intercede. Because I have the secretary's personal cell number, and we are working on 5 cases right now in Miami Beach, believe it or not, that was as the result. Remember when the commission had a town hall meeting on condos? That was early on. It was around March. You were there. So I took some of those cases, and we are working on them, and they are getting resolved. Yes, I'd be happy to. Yes, May, if you'll get her information, please, we will start working on that.
Let's get Matthew over here, and then we go to you, Harry. I will microphone.
Okay. Well, good morning, Commissioner. Thank you for coming here. Last week at the Miami Foundation Forum, when the question came up about the Bay-Link, which is a long proposed rapid transit link between downtown Miami and South Beach, when that question came up, you had mentioned that you're meeting with a new group called the Smart Mass Transit Coalition. So I Googled them trying to find out, because I've never heard of them. They don't have a public website. They don't have a membership list. They don't say who they are. But you said that you met with them. So can you please, for the public's benefit, can you share who the Smart Mass Transit Coalition is, who their members are, who represents them, the principals, anything about them, please?
Sure. So they're made up of owners of South of 5th, and I don't have their names offhand, but I can get them to you. And they did give me what they consider to be an option in lieu of the Bay-Link. Because what I did was I went to see where the Bay-Link is on the SMART plan. It's there, right, along with all of the other corridors. Unfortunately, because the city of Miami Beach passed a unanimous resolution opposing it, it has never had an environmental study done, which is the first thing that has to happen for the SMART plan to even consider it at the Transportation Planning Organization. So I met with these people who said they had an alternative. So I'm happy to share what they gave me and who they were. Absolutely. Happy to.
Just a quick follow-up. You don't know any of their names? Because if they're South of 5th residents or West Avenue residents, there are some prominent people who have been opposed to the Bay-Link over the years. You don't remember any of their names?
I don't remember their names now, but I'm happy to give them to you. Yeah.
Any lobbyists with that?
There were no lobbyists in the room, just now.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. May.
Wait.
Hold on for a second. May, if you'll remember for us to get some of the information we got from the Smart Mass Transit Coalition. Thank you. Thanks.
Again, my question has to do with basically mass transit and Bay-Link. The problem is, if you have any portions of this on Miami Beach, you preempt, the county has decided to preempt the zoning, which may have to do with the opposition. If you bring the Bay-Link over here or any other mass transit, the county has a policy of preempting a mile on each side. That if you come up Miami Beach, that includes all of Miami Beach. So you really have to resolve this issue in a more fair and equitable manner to get this mass transit. And that's my question. Will you go ahead and try to go ahead and get this impasse figured out?
So what the county's doing right now is it's reviewing the SMART plan because it now has no money to do all of the corridors, right? So now they're looking at getting a report back on which one will help mitigate the traffic in Miami-Dade County in generally speaking, and that's the one they're going to try to find funding for. So there's like 6 or 7 corridors on that SMART plan, and the only one that has no funding associated with it is the Bay Link one. They never went further. Once the city unanimously opposed it, it sort of fell by the wayside. And so I actually brought it up at the TPO, the last TPO meeting, and I'm waiting to see, because everybody said, well, we can't even put money, we can't even budget for it because there is no environmental study. The environmental study isn't being done because the city is opposed to the project.
By the way, it's understandable. It's understandable that the city would oppose it if you're going to cancel out or preempt their zoning.
No, I hear you. I get that was part of the discussion the city had. Yes.
Coming.
𝗖ʰ𝘂𝘂𝗍𝗶𝗀𝗏, exactly.
I'm used to rapping, so good morning, everybody. Commissioner Lopez, nice to see you and your staff. Kevin Kruger, 9-year resident. I have a devil's advocate question for you. I saw on your Instagram the other day, and I commented it too. So with the Ocean Drive pedestrianization or changes where it's complicated with 3 government entities, I guess my question is, and you know I'm a commercial real estate agent, so as a retail broker, I always advocate that pedestrians shop, cars don't. However, I do recognize that we might be at risk of throwing a baby out with the bathwater when we tuned into every movie the last 4 decades or music video, speaking of rap, and Will Smith and what have you, Buck and Mighty, Scarface.
Question?
Hold please. Barbie 2023 had $500–600 million view, and that's not Malibu Drive that she's going down in her car. That's Ocean Drive. So just as much as we celebrate our Art Deco and the nostalgia, are we throwing out the baby with the bathwater on these cruising cars? If you fast forward 50 years and we're all in robot cars, but Ocean Drive is the only space where car enthusiasts that don't have a coalition like bicycle or pedestrian, they don't have property coalitions. They're not in the room being protected. At least if we do strip away for 3 government agencies, strip away, make it Ocean Walk instead of Ocean Drive, how do we keep the cars that made our city almost as famous as Art Deco and nightclubs, and there's more complications to that, obviously, fire and safety and walking in high heels to your hotel and all that.
It's a good question. I like it. 50 years from now. Yes, but take note of the fact that many of the people that are driving on Ocean Drive late at night don't live in Miami Beach, right? I'm worried more about what does the Ocean Drive Association want, right? From south to 15, there's an association that's really been looking at this. And I understand that Bernard Čičkovič, the architect, now has this incredible plan to pedestrianize Ocean Drive, much like many of the large cities across the world. And so I don't know that people are worried about whether cars have a place here versus pedestrians and people on bikes who would stop and who would contribute to the economy. So more on that when we see the plan. But right now we're just trying to solve the one-way southbound issue, which obviously is in the courts and on appeal.
Yeah, hi, Commissioner Lopez. Thank you for. Okay. Okay. Thank you for coming out. I did have a question regarding what strategies would you recommend as a commissioner to facilitate getting the money needed to invest in more transit routes, helping condo owners stay in their homes, for sargassum cleanup, food security for seniors? What strategies would you have to actually get the money to invest in those types of things? Boating regulation, boating safety, and what have you.
So the budget is the place where we have to look at that. And I think all of you know that I was a budget chair when I was at the Florida House, and I had 12 executive agencies under my budget purview, all of whom run the state government, right? So to answer your question, Rob, I think we have to start setting priorities in the budget. No, let me tell you how the budget cycle works here so that you can be as appalled as I am. So the mayor gave us her budget on July 15th. That's it. We've never seen it before. Now, commission is going to meet on September 3rd to review the budget. And they're going to vote on it 2 weeks later. Do you think anybody actually knows what's in the budget in that system? They do not. Let me tell you how I would do it if I were the chair of the county commission. I would do it exactly as the legislature does. We would take 6 months to meet with every department head to review line item by line item. We would have them tell us why they think they need to spend that money. We would determine whether that's the best use of taxpayer dollars. And then we would have a budget that we could say we actually reviewed. This is embarrassing for the county, I have to tell you that. Having been a budget chair, and to his question, if we did that system, then we would stop funding things that are not a high priority to fund those things that he enumerated for you. Money for senior meals, money for the sargassum problem, money for the things that matter. People have to matter first and foremost. And so, to answer your question, I absolutely believe we have to change the entire way we deal with the budget.
So you feel that we have to find the money, we have to change how we budget.
Yes.
But in order to fund the budget, we need the money. So where would we get the money from?
We have plenty of money in the budget. Plenty. Don't think that we have to come out and ask you for any more money. We have to determine priorities. We have to fund those things. Government cannot be all things to all people, especially when you have things like Rob has just said are so critically important. So that's what you do in budgeting. I cut millions of dollars of state agency monies that I didn't think were appropriate for use of taxpayer dollars. We should be doing the same with the county.
All right, can we use some of that money to finish the bridge in
That is
downtown, no
unfortunate.
charge?
I don't know if that was a good idea.
Yeah.
We needed a bridge. I don't know that we needed a signature bridge.
I know. All right, thank you.
Thank you
for
so
coming
much.
here.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you,
You're
everyone.
We are ready in election. Early voting started today. Go vote. Don't forget to vote. Next week, we are going to have 𝗖cie𝘂𝗂𝗍𝗶, which is running for state representative, and Alita Shadal. Oh, okay, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thanks,
𝗖cie𝘂𝗂𝗍𝗶. Yes. And Alita Shadal, Tumari's granddaughter, Katie, that Mari's not here today because she's on her master graduation. So congratulations to you, girl. Thank you all very much. And let me show this beautiful crowd here. Look at everybody here.
People came
Yeah.
up today.
So
Yes,
great.
yes,
Thank
this
you all
is
for
awesome.
coming.
We love having a lot of people. Thank you. Hope you guys come more often. Thank you, Carmen, for doing my camera lady.